In today's video, we're going to talk about my absolute favorite source of deals that you're probably currently missing out on. Let's dive right in. If you're a real estate investor or agent, I can't think of a better lead source than referral or repeat business. Over at Sold Fast, we just had a situation where we bought a house from the mom in the family. And then when her son decided that it was time for him to also sell and she recommended him to us, it was an extremely easy, smooth process. Somebody they know, like, love, and trust has told them, hey, we're the people. Makes for a very seamless process. Now, we're going to cover the three main reasons why you're probably missing out on referrals and how to fix them to add a significant amount to your annual bottom line. This does kind of go without saying, but it does require you to care about the people you're doing business with and do good business in order for it to work. So this isn't like how to not do a good job and get those people to bring you more business. That's not going to ever work. The number one reason we see people miss out on referrals is that they're not being honest or transparent with sellers during the initial home buying or listing process. If you pressure or bully somebody into making a decision, maybe you're using like false pressure techniques like, hey, I can only buy one house this month, or you're, bringing the contract out at the table and trying to push them to sign it at the spot. It can be hard to get referrals out of those folks because they end up having buyer's remorse, or they don't feel like they were fully informed in order to make a good decision. Early on in my career, I actually got a 3-star Google review from somebody whose house we successfully bought, and I was a little confused. Like, I did what I said I was going to do. Why was that not, worthy of 5 stars? But their feedback actually changed part of how we do our business. And it was, they wish that we would have given them more time to think things over, consider it. They were happy with the price and the end result. There was just some process things that we could improve on. My goal with this content isn't to shame you of oh, you're not doing it right. It's to inspire you of hey, maybe there's a better way that we can do this. And as a result, help you create more positive impact in your own market. A really common thing we see is investors not necessarily being forthcoming with how much work they're going to do to the property or what they're going to try to sell it for, which then results in kind of some feelings. I don't know if you've ever traded in a car and they just lowball the absolute snot out of you, and then you see it listed on the lot for 15 grand more. That never feels good, right? It would feel a lot better if they were like, hey, we can pay this, but we're going to try to move it for this. That's what we try to do in our own business. We walk sellers through what we can pay cash, what we think it would sell for on the market as it sits, and what we think it goes for retail with a full remodel. The second reason we see people often miss out on deals is they treat the people whose properties they bought or listed almost like they were a meal ticket and not a human being. I'm extremely careful in my own business when I share reviews or, hey, we bought a property from our company page, that we make the seller the absolute hero of that story. I just had one of these a couple days ago where the seller went and then liked the post, meaning they're still following our page and they're checking back for updates, probably to see what we end up doing with the place. I have an older post where the seller actually commented on it. Thank you guys so much for buying my house. And we replied back with pictures of our guys working on the property, thanking her for the opportunity. That's become one of the best ads that I can possibly run. So be careful that you're not sharing things from your business page like, oh, I'm going to make so much money on this house, or, buying another one, or kind of that very egotistical, flexy type content. If you're like me and you want to put out YouTube content or something, totally fine. But I probably wouldn't do it from your home buying brand. And even if you're going to put it out, I would make sure that you talk about and treat the people that you did business with respect. That particular woman that we threw up on screen a couple minutes ago, if I'd posted yeah, we bought this house, we're so great, aren't we awesome? And she saw that might make her feel oh, okay, or kind of sour her opinion of us or even that buying experience, even though we did everything we said we were going to do. The third and final thing that we see folks get wrong is that they honestly just forget about the sellers. They go under contract, they send it to title, they expect title to do all of the transaction coordination, which maybe they do, maybe they don't. We've actually had reviews in the past where they mentioned like, yeah, they were great, but the title company kind of dropped the ball. We want to make the process as smooth as possible for those sellers. So making sure that they're in the loop, making sure that they know when we're closing, what day, what time, what title company is going to ask them for so they can gather paperwork, etc. The more we can communicate with them and build that relationship through this process, the better. I think the average person owns their home for something like 8 years. Recent data that came out said that the average home buyer now is in like their late 30s, meaning the average person is only going to go through a couple properties in their lifetime. This is an absolutely huge financial decision that they're making, entrusting you with either buying or listing their place. There should be a relationship there that lasts some time. Ideally, you get to help with their next place if you're an agent, or they refer friends and family to you, or when they inherit a place they don't want, they keep your number handy. You can't simply forget about your seller during the transaction or after it. So let's talk about how to convert more referrals. The first thing that we want to do is ask them for a review after the transaction. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can have like a business card with a QR code they can scan that takes them directly to your Google reviews. You can text them the link while they're at the closing table with you and ask if they wouldn't mind. With us, we also try to grab like a review with the seller while we've got them there. The more we can get how they feel in that moment from them, the better. The reason for that is, well, you're going to have a hard time chasing it down after the fact. But the other reason is people tend to forget the specifics of what that experience was like the further out we get in time. So if I go under contract with you to buy my house, and then I've got to clean out all the clutter, haul everything out, move all my stuff to somewhere else, like there's a ton that I'm doing, and I'm just kind of counting on you to handle this particular aspect. I'm likely not to remember anything extra or special or attention to detail that was paid to me during that process because I'm probably going to take it for granted, whereas I'm much more likely to remember that the day of when I'm receiving, ideally, a rather large check for a property that I sold or you helped me list. When you're at closing, you should be able to get things like the seller's new mailing address, their birth date. From being in conversation with them, you should have learned some things about them and their family. Sending like a happy anniversary card or a happy birthday or a Christmas card, or even a simple text that just says, hey, I hope you guys are liking the new place 2 to 3 months later. Those sort of simple touches that you can even automate go a really, really long way to them feeling like you were a good human that they did business with, that they want to stay in touch with. I think there's like maybe some internal guilt from violating the first 3 where people don't feel like they can or should stay in touch. Like, I don't want them to know what I listed that for, or, we had to do so many price drops. Like they're probably not happy, right? The better job we do up front, the easier it's going to be to get referrals. The third and final thing we can do that a lot of people really struggle with is actually asking for the referrals. So if I did what I said I was going to do, you told me the experience was great, we documented that together, and then I've kept in touch in a non-annoying, non-pestery way, makes it very easy for me to ask 6, 12 months later, hey, Mrs. Smith, you know anybody else that's maybe looking to buy or sell right now? Or, hey, Mrs. Smith, are you aware of any properties that it might make sense for me to take a look at buying? I can tell you as a business owner with multiple companies, it is always cheaper to do more business with somebody that you've done business with than to go acquire new business. As a real estate investor, our typical cost to get a new acquisition is $3K, $5K, even more than that if you're in a market like Miami or LA. I don't know about you, but if I have the choice between cutting a $3,000 or $5,000 check or just having random friendly banter with somebody who I did the right thing for, I'm going to pick that all day long. Are there any other ways you've generated referrals that I've left out? If so, I don't believe I know everything. Please let us know down in the comments below. I wrote an entire 71-page ebook that walks you through everything we do on the real estate investing side, from raising capital, contracts, talking to sellers, staff, job descriptions, comp plans, interior design, all of that. That's totally free. That I'll pin in the comments below if you're interested in learning more about what we do in real estate. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. Again, my name was Ryan Dossey. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you next time.